Hello, and welcome on back to PK's Rebalancing Mod Showcase Kajigger. Well, like I said last time, I ended up somehow corrupting my overmap vision, and I actually had to remove those files from my save in order to rescue it. What that means is that the overmap, in general, was lost, and the only thing I could end up saving was things I had already seen. Because once a tile enters your reality bubble, whatever's in that map tile will stay there. So everything I've seen is going to be there, but there's a new overmap generated for those coordinates, even though it'll never show up. So what I did was I saw the whole map so I could show you. I showed you the blinking light of my mission, which is go to the refugee center, which you got from the shelters when you look at the computer. And what I did was I traveled north, and I traveled slightly west actually, just because it was easier to get to the trees by burning them down. Best way to get through a forest is to burn that sucker down. When I was new, I used to try to chop a path through. I burned that sucker down. Anywho, that sugar shack, that S that you saw there by the hotel, that was about where I was. So, not a big travel. And in this episode, we are going to travel off map. This is the farthest I have been in this map. I was actually here already. This is where I got the mission to go to the shelter. Excuse me. So, now on, it will be uncharted territory. So, like I said, I decided to go to a new map other than use this map that I debug saw, or try to, just remap everything, because the map's all kinds of screwed up now. Oops. Anywho, I don't think you guys are going to be disappointed having just played through this whole episode. It's interesting enough, certainly. First of all, yes, I installed a new gas tank. If I didn't show you guys, it's got a bunch of water in it. And I cleaned up my old gas tank. I have red and blue lights. I have repaired the most egregiously damaged items, and I do not know if I've installed a stereo system and a couple other things yet. Nothing much. I simply don't have the batteries to do that, nor the skill to make a vehicle-mounted welding unit. But you bet your bottom dollar, as soon as I get the mechanical and electrical skill, I'm going to do that. Right now, I'm stripping off the security system from this personnel carrier, and it's going to be useful later on when I really get into revamping the car. I don't need to keep it, and if it becomes a problem I can just dump it, but for the moment it's fine. Okay, if you noticed, I just lit a bunch of gasoline on fire from the gasoline, not nearly as combustible as it was in prior versions where your whole gas tank would explode. I do kind of miss those, but I am at the same time very glad. It wasn't uncommon to die in an explosion because a zombie smacked your gas tank as you were driving through the city. Very compelling reason to keep it safe, actually. But not very true to real life. I think they mapped it at like 10 feet a second. Fire will travel over a gas tank, or gasoline stream. Something silly. Anywho, there is now a mall right above us, and let me assure you, it was not there before. In fact, you see above me where I'm supposed to be on a road right now, there's no road there, because when I was up here the first time, the reality bubble covered that area. And here we are. Now we're getting to the mall. I considered briefly checking out the mall, but then decided it wasn't worth it with my legs being broken, and what would I get out of it? Some batteries, some ammo, maybe a good gun or two. And there's a lot of zombies to clear out. I'm just not terribly interested in doing so. So, hopefully nobody wanted to see that, but you do get to see the amount of zombies that tends to spawn. And you see a zombie horse those things, when I first put them in, were nightmarish to people. They would spawn and they would trash somebody. They're not actually that bad if you have decent armor and a decent weapon, or you could scare them off. All of the zombie animals in my game, and most of the zombie animals in the core game, are actually afraid of fire, and some of them are actually still afraid of sound. They have the aggressiveness of the regular zombies, but they retain some kind of basal fear, I want to say. Whereas zombies proper, the humanoid ones, are actually species zombie, and they do not retain those fears and weaknesses. So over here we've got ourselves a handy dandy military outpost. I considered trying to run them out of ammo or something, but in the long run it just entirely unworth it. Although, you know, you do often find like bio-op zombies, soldier zombies, you'll find some of the rarer military items in there rarely. Of course, the turrets themselves are pretty good loot if you can manage to get to them. I do have a Pokeball item. If you ever manage to catch a turret that's friendly to you and then pop it out, you could probably do a pretty good job. Okay, so I've cut now to when I'm done stripping this of what I want. I forget exactly what I did. I know I fixed some stuff and I repaired my items and played around. Not too much special. But now I need to go forth. I decide not to go around this thing up there because there's a river right there. I think I wanted to try to drag this grappler, maybe this master, into this, but it's long and impractical. But they've done a pretty good number on destroying these turrets already. I could probably get in there with a few well-placed rounds or something. Either way, I check, and outside there's just nothing of terrible interest. Okay. Now, I do park my car so I can fill my stuff up, so I can go through my filthy items and clean off the ones I don't want, or do want rather. So yeah, very quick way to fill up your tank. And like I said before many times, water inside or from a vehicle tank will never get you sick. I can drink all the filthy water I want, and I will lose the health bonus. I will take the -1 hit to my HMOD. However, it's not nearly as bad as like something wine or any of the other really bad ones. And you can offset it pretty easily with something like multivitamins. And like I said, I don't have to take the time to heat it up, and I don't have a purifier set up yet, so it works fine. Because my legs are damaged, anything that will become hostile when you are weak and hurt will become hostile to me, because I have no health on my legs, so they see me as, you know, easy prey. I don't know how much of this I show you, but I fix up what I can, I cut up what I can't, and I don't wash them until they're clean. Now, it is important to note that driving on the shallow of the riverbank, I wish I could show you, but maybe I'll show you the map. As long as one of your tires are out of deep water, you will not sink, to the best of my understanding. Anywho, this is a scientist drop place, and the scientist was killed by the Grecs. The Grecs have very odd hostility conditions, like sound and a bunch of other stuff. They're actually kind of supposed to be the reverse of regular stuff. Okay, that jumping spider showed up. We shot him in the eye hole. He's a jerk. There's a trapdoor spider coming from the north. I really should have seen this coming. I was a dumbass. And I'm getting jumped by the whole nest of trapdoor spiders right now. Yep. This is an unsustainable condition right now. I have no accuracy, no durability, my pain is shooting up, I'm getting poisoned, my legs are broken. I released that hack in the hope that it was going to do some distracting. Didn't do so well. And as you can see, I'm starting to take heavy damage. And I climb in my car, drive away. They take damage from not being in a seat-belted seat. Okay, so that's how you survive that. By running. They managed to smash off my light though, those jerks. Either way, I'm going to butcher their bodies and cook up the meat. I don't think I have the skill or the materials to make jerky, or I probably would have done so with such a bounty. But I'm going to collect all the booty parts. So yeah, I remember when I introduced those, they were messy critters. They would grab you, and poison was a bit stronger back then too. Everything's a little more mellow now, believe it or not. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I guess I'm showing you me butchering everything. Yep. Being poisoned, I can still be hurt because the poison's still acting on me. And there are some wolves. The zombie wolves. Annoying critters they are. And they heard the sound of the gunshot. And they came over here and they found the Grek. And they murdered it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the clothing that's left over from this fire, and I'm spreading it around and starting a fire. More fire. And I'm letting these things come to me. They don't have a concept of not being hurt by the fire. They will become afraid of the fire. As you can see, this one guy's fleeing off because he's afraid of the fire. So it works. But there is still a dark howler in the area, and dark howlers, like I said before, are essentially the shady version of wolves. They have poor day vision, good night vision. I think they're night invisible too, although that's not as big a deal, because you'll usually have some kind of light out here. You're not doing like night raiding in the country, you know? But still, they can hear well, they can smell well. Ooh. Just so you're aware, I did manage to heal my legs by the end of this video. Or actually, just after this video ends. Unfortunately, I did not record it. I pressed the record shortcut, but the program itself wasn't open, so I missed all that. But I found a hospital, I found a Dr. Stem Cell, and I even showcased how to use a smoke bomb in the dark to lose zombies because they can't smell you. They'll go to the last coordinates where they could detect you, but they won't follow in the dark because they can't see through the smoke and they can't see in the dark. Which I did to escape a room just jam-packed full of boomers and a couple of acidic zombies. As you know, if your legs are destroyed, the rest of your body, your arms, your legs, your torso, and your head will all take equal damage from acid. Whereas it would just been your legs before, now it's all of them. And here's a jerk howler. I shoot him, I pulp him, but that attracts his buddy, and we're going to shoot him again. And thus begins a tragic problem with using guns. It attracts all of the monsters. And yes, I was checking to see if this guy would come up. He's making his way up here, because I'm a dumbass who kept shooting him. This is still a problem with shotguns. It tends to draw in monsters from everywhere. And I don't know if they're spawning in or if they're actually wandering in from outside the bubble. I think it's a combination of both. They're being drawn in by the noise, wandering, and then they're just making their way over to the sound. Okay. I think I'm about done here. All of my delicious meat. But all in all, I'm gaining out of this. I found a manhack on their body, which was useful enough for the time being, I guess. It occurs to me now that I could have used the warm disc artifact that I had that shoots fireballs, but I did not. Oops. Okay. So, what am I doing here? The offal has more nutrition, which is what I wanted. I apparently tried to go to sleep over here, and sure enough, they revived. So we're just going to drive off. Yep, you can see the actual home where they are. You can see the bone in the lower right-hand corner. You can see the rocks. I recognize the rocks now that I'm looking at them as one of the setups I have for them. Because it's JSON defined, it can only have so many setups, and I can randomize it to a certain point, but that doesn't mean I don't recognize the shape of the objects I've laid out, because I did create them after all. If I were to dig, I would find the underground that would have the queen spider. Killing that queen spider would stop the trapdoor spiders from spawning, and there is spider group item spawns down there. So anything you'd find in a regular spider hole, which is like a spider basement, you will also find under there. So if you're willing to dig, or I tried to put a staircase there, or at least like a downward slope. I don't think it worked. It's supposed to be under a boulder. I haven't actually went and checked, but I'll make a point to go do that, because it would be nice to be able to get down there without having a jackhammer or a pick or something. In fact, that's exactly why they're there, to present like a small reward for going through that mess, because they are fairly dangerous, especially to the under-armored character. And I'm SOL. I do what I did before, what I didn't show you on camera, and that is, like I said, if some of your tires are out of the deep water, you count as on the shore. So I straddle the river, and I go to sleep, and I am promptly woken up by noise, which is the Grim Howler as far as I know. I go back to sleep, and I am promptly woken up by surprise Smokey Bear. I have reinstituted Smokey Bear as a monster. It is just a burnt bear, but it was taken out for the Crazy Cataclysm mod. I like the idea of the Smokey Bear. It fits a very well-defined niche, and Smokey Bear, which is a smoking bear, really big jerk. Not a big fan of getting next to him. Okay. Other than that, what is happening now? Still traveling along the side of the road, and as you can see, I can travel through any number of tiles along this river. It is really a roadway. The JSON map gem treats the center of the river as a road for placement of items, and I do too. I can travel right down it just like it were a road. Okay. Huh. According to my raws, the Smokey Bear that I put in has two capitals. Smokey and Bear are both individually capitalized. The one we saw had his lowercase bear word. So I believe this confirms that that was a vanilla Smokey Bear. Wouldn't that be something? I believe that there are two entries for Smokey Bear, but I can't be entirely sure, because in my own raws, Smokey Bear is two capitals. Okay. So that squig pulverized a critter, and we're going to shoot it because squigs are pretty dangerous. They regenerate, they have high morale, and they tend to travel in packs. So witness my mistake as I shoot that and attract all of the monsters. Okay, originally I actually tried to get the ant and the squig to fight, and that works to a point. Soldier ants are no match for a squig. They can certainly hurt it, but it regenerates, and that really eliminates any chance they had. Squigs are quite powerful, and they do spawn rarely in swamps, even without a fungal infection around. So you do want to be careful about them. They don't produce any meat that you can eat. It's all tainted. I was thinking about not doing that, but as far as I know, I mean, they're based on the 40k critter. I don't recall any Warhammer Fantasy critters eating a squig unless they were like maybe a Skaven or either way. Humans, I don't recall them eating too much squig. So I'm going to just leave it tainted at that. Besides, it's fungal flesh. Okay, there's a zombie horse. Like I said, they would ruin somebody's day if you're not careful. The reason I'm leaving this in now is because I think there are a few more squigs, but I wanted to just quickly show off the mine. I don't actually make it too far in, but I feel it demonstrates a point in case people aren't aware of exactly how you suffocate. Now, I do have a filter mask on. Filter masks have enough environmental protection and coverage to protect you from thin smoke and moderate smoke, but not heavy smoke. Heavy smoke will cause you to gag, and it will seep through. And you know what? I think that's fair enough, because if you have a gas mask, you should be more or less immune. But with this, you are not. Okay. Here I'm just doing a little bit of maintenance, and I cut the rest of that out. Now I'm going down. So as I was saying, down to the mine, seeing if I can't find something fun. And sure enough, I find nothing fun. Okay. That looks like blood to me. That's what I first thought it was, but then I thought better of my thought. It's a good idea to mark the exit to the structure just so that you don't have to spend time looking for it, especially because there's really no way to tell, and in theory you can get lost. Since it's so warm down here, I decided to take these arm warmers off, the leg warmers off, all of these sock warming things off. You know, I don't have a lot of batteries, which really does hurt the exploration, because I do need the batteries to see what's going on. Over here, I'm looking because it'll tell me downward stairs or downward slope if I happen to find that. Above, you can hear the fungus, and you can see this little text message from me getting sick. I actually get sick enough where I start taking torso damage, which is how the game suffocates you. It's also how you drown. You take torso damage. And like I said, not really seeing the way out. And I go back up here to check, and I know it's down there in the smoke somewhere, but I cannot find it. And I don't have the time to go peeking through every single floor. But I do find the heart of it, which is somewhere around here, because look at it. I also have to recenter my view because after driving, the game thinks my view is down there. I have to go find the key binding because this isn't something I do all the time. There we are. As you can see, it's pretty thick in here. The A good step is to find one wall and start searching. It'll be close-ish to the wall, within a few tiles of one of the walls, a line of 4 of them. And what I like to do is drop 1 aspirin on either side. This way I know where it is and I don't get it confused, and in the case of having smoke all over it, I can see which tile it is. Right here, I kind of just say nope and get on out. I am badly poisoned, and I do take quite a stiff penalty for that. And fungal buddy. Not who I want to see. So I go out this way, but he followed me, because why the fuck wouldn't he? Well, unfortunately, this is probably something I'm going to have to deal with sooner than later. But I do have my handy dandy shotgun, so. Yep. Blue. Now, squigs are actually fairly squishy. They have a low armor count. I nerfed it quite a bit over the, I don't want to say years, but over the months. And they have lower health, too. So they are squishy. If you hit them with a heavy weapon, they die. If you have good melee skill, you could probably do pretty good with a heavy bashy weapon. Or like a cutty weapon even, but I think that exists cut. I can actually check for you. But yes, there is a definite strategy that you can have in mind for dealing with squig. Okay, according to the Raws, they have moderate dodgy skill and 2 bashing and cutting armor. So whatever you hit them with, you want to make sure that they get a lot of damage at once. Like a katana or something will do pretty good. Really heavy weapon that does a lot of damage will do good. But the more time they have to recover, the worse it'll be for you. Okay, and now I'm just showing you I am back on a road. I am going towards the city at this moment. And you get a general feel for this thing as you go where the city is. The city is north. I just follow the road. Any other direction I take is me exploring. Because you can see how it fans out from a central area. It's just having seen enough roads do it, I have a gist of it. Yeah, but I do want to know what's on these roads since I'm so close. I don't know if these ants are from the same ant hive as another one or what, but ants have a pretty good radius, after all. I'm running off at kilometers per hour, which is not the American measurement. About 100 miles an hour is something like 67. No, 67 miles an hour, maybe 70. That was a phone call from my own state. However, it is not in my phone. Therefore, it's either like an insurance company or a telemarketer or somebody who's going to leave me a voicemail. So, nuts to them. Okay. One thing about the smoke is that it leaves a nice trail, so when you come back, you can tell which way you took. But over here, going 80, 90 miles an hour, I found a heavy power armor. Now, I don't have the helmet, however, I can wear the suit without the helmet as far as I remember. And if I can't, it's not a big loss. I collected it because it's so bloody rare, not because I actually wanted to wear heavy power armor. But I may have to show off some heavy power armor at one point, because without debugging it, a lot of people will wait a good year or so for this stuff. The last time I had myself power armor on had to be like 18 months ago, real time. It's certainly an experience, even if you don't end up getting the hauling packs. Okay, I was hoping to get the zombies away long enough to do this, but they've decided to be jerkholes. Meanie jerkholes. So anyway, after this video ends, I continue north. I eventually find a hospital. I find doom monsters outside the hospital, by the way, just on the edge of their radius. In fact, I can see them to the right across the river, and I can see the edge of some kind of city across the river, too, to the north. So there is a city on the other side of the river and the hospital on my side, and there are doom monsters outside, which gave me plenty of distraction to loot a fire truck. I took off both water cannons, and I might end up installing them to show you. They do pretty good with stunning. They can stun lock a small crowd of zombies. Unfortunately, they do piss for damage, so until they implement acid water cannons, they're not going to be useful for damage, but they can certainly stun lock things while you go in for the kill. And since water is free, I mean, why not, right? Anywho, inside of the place, I find very little in the way of resistance, since they're all trying to get outside to attack the doom monsters, which, like I said, are louder than sin. Okay. I will see you later with my healed legs, and I'll show you, man.